if we're lucky, we all have someone in our lives that we hope that we will be when we grow up. For me, that's my grandfather. He was born in 1924, Daniel David Garner Jr. He was born in Jacksboro, Texas. He was the fifth of 11 children, the first boy, and as the first boy, he was spoiled. He got to be the king of the castle, and that carried on till the day he died. He spoke and you obeyed, and if you didn't, he'd know why. In the Great Depression, his family lost everything, and he was forced to leave school in the 6th grade to begin working in neighboring farms to help his family pay bills and have food, clothing. In 1940, at the age of 16, he enlisted in the Marines. He served his country for more than 5 years. Most of that time was spent fighting in the World War II. I think that probably things that he did there and lives that he took haunted him for the rest of his life. He didn't speak about it a lot, but when he did, it was obvious that it really meant something. It wasn't something he took for granted, his freedom or the freedom of others. It was something he did for his country, and he was proud of that, but it was not something he was proud of overall. He definitely regretted some of the things that he was forced to do in battle, and I think that haunted him and hurt him for many years. When he returned to the States, he began a 40-year career with Southwestern Bell. During that time, he met and married my grandmother. They quickly began a family. They had 9 children in 16 years, raised that family in a 3-bedroom home, 2-bath. They shared beds and clothes and chores. They were a close family, couldn't help but be with that many children and, in 2 bedrooms. But they always managed to make it work. You weren't allowed to fight. You weren't allowed to nitpick. You were grateful for the things that you had, and you just found the positive in everything. It wasn't an option to be anything other than grateful. In 1973, he got a name change. He became Peepaw. I wasn't his first grandchild, but I was the bossiest grandchild. I insisted on a name change, and I guess I had a streak in me like he did, because everyone, including his children, began calling him Peepaw. By 2013, he was the proud Peepaw of 27 grandchildren and 16 great-grandchildren. He was very proud of that. He talked about us wherever he went. He always carried our pictures. Even me at 40, he had a picture of me in his wallet the day he died. So I know that he was very proud of us. We meant a lot to him. This is surprising. My Peepaw suffered many pains and heartaches and illnesses through his life. He rarely spoke about, like I said, his time in the war, but I do think that brought him a lot of pain and a lot of sorrow. One of his children died when he was 3 months old. He fell ill and quickly passed away, and I think that left a hole in my grandfather's heart that he never filled. In a farming accident, his hand was crushed. It resulted in the loss of 3 fingers and required 4 surgeries and 2 skin grafts. He was never able to fully heal from that. He always had some difficulty with that hand. He had 2 heart attacks. He had an open heart surgery and a triple bypass. And within the last 5 years of his life, he had a stroke in the middle of a garden. He was out in the garden and crawled more than a quarter of a mile to his truck, pulled himself into the seat, and honked his horn for over an hour before somebody heard him and came to render aid. In all that time, in all those years, in all this suffering, my Peepaw never complained. He never asked why me. He always found the positive in everything. He was proud of himself, proud of his family. You just weren't allowed to have pity. He never pitied himself, and he never allowed you to have pity for yourself or for him. He was the ultimate gentleman. He held doors. He took off his hat. He never cussed. I never heard my Peepaw say a cuss word ever. I never heard him say a bad word about anyone. And if he didn't like someone, you didn't know it. It was very rare that Well, honestly, I can't think of a single time. I think my Mima told me once that he made the comment that he didn't like someone, and that she was shocked by it because in the in 40 years that they knew this neighbor, he had never said a bad word about him, and that was my peepaw. Either you said something nice or you didn't speak. And usually when he spoke, you listened, because he spoke so rarely. He just was not a talker. He didn't express himself very often, and when he did, you knew that you wanted to hear what he had to say because it meant something. Goodness, I'm sorry that I'm emotional. Now, don't get me wrong, my peepaw was not, he was not a lightweight. He was definitely intimidating, and I still would swear to this day that my peepaw could beat up your peepaw any day of the week. He wasn't scared of anything, and I was never afraid of anything when he was with me. I definitely knew that he could take care of business. I think we all did. I don't think we feared him so much as we feared seeing the scary side of him. I don't know that I ever saw him spank anyone, but I certainly knew it was not going to be good if he did. And so I think we all just made every effort to stay on the good side of things and never have to get punishment from people, because obviously that would be the ultimate disappointment to him, is if he had to get onto you. He had some funny sayings. He told us he would whip upon us, wanted to know who was entering his house. He'd never put up with sass, and his saying was, "I ain't putting up with no sass, so you better leave it at the door or you'll be getting a correcting." And I think probably that's a saying that I say all the time, and my kids have no clue why I continue to say it. They think it's silly, but it is special, and it means something to me, and they know what I mean when I say it, so they don't talk back a lot. And so maybe it worked, but maybe they're just afraid, some of people come out in me. Over the years, my people worked so many jobs. He never worked just one job. He did landscaping, construction. He even ran a 3-acre garden for his family, full of vegetables, where all of his kids and his grandkids and my grandmother, we would all go out and cultivate and water and pick these vegetables, and we'd bring them home and freeze them and can them. And he definitely kept, several households going. I know at least probably 5 or 6, just with my aunts and uncles and us, and we never wanted for food. We never wanted for love in that family. So he managed to cultivate more than just fruits and vegetables. He was a hard worker. He was a strong man. I definitely loved him more than I can express. And my uncle said, when my grandfather passed away, he said, "The world's a lot lazier place now that my people's gone." And I would have to say he's right. He definitely was the best man I knew.